Weird bump on the back of her head here, and the doctor was concerned enough to where he wanted us to go get it checked out by a craniofacial doctor. He wanted us to go get it checked out by a craniofacial doctor, and so we are going to go there today. We finally got our appointment.
Hey guys, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. We spend so much time on this channel talking about when the Duggar girls don't do the right things for their kids or when fans are concerned about their parenting choices. But today we're going to congratulate one of the women, Joanna, for doing what was right for her daughter by taking her daughter to the doctor. Yes, very minor things like this deserve big applause for the Duggars because they're not known for always making the best choices. And this is going to be regarding her baby girl, Evie. So if you know anything about Joanna, you know that sometimes she is a risk taker. For instance, Gideon went ziplining with his dad without a helmet. There was the armed object that was sitting out in a video with Gideon right by it. There was the scissors that Gideon pulled out of the drawers. There's the sleeping in a bed with lots of covers on her with the baby. Lots of things that make fans a little bit upset. When I saw this and I saw that she was actually going to the doctor, I was really excited. But then once I saw what they were going to the doctor for, it was something I realized that I had some experience with. So I was super interested in nerding out with you guys and telling you guys a little bit more about what they were seeing the doctor for, because Joanna didn't do the very good job of explaining what was happening. So in the video, Miss Joanna explains that the doctors are concerned about a bulge in the back of Evie's head and are concerned that the sutures in her skull are fusing too fast. Now, she didn't use the word sutured. She just said that she basically just said that the doctors were worried that her skull was fusing too fast. Now, when a skull fuses too fast with a baby, it means that the brain runs out of places to grow and sometimes can cause the brain not to reach the full size and capacity. It can also put added pressure in the brain, and it can lead to a whole host of problems, and the brain and the skull will sort of develop abnormally, making the head shape of the infant look different or abnormal. Still cute, but it's, you know, you want those sutures you want that little baby brain to grow. So in her video, she basically says that, you know, if they don't address this and if it's not looked at, there could be long-term consequences for her, which is true. So she said that her doctor, her baby doctor, family doctor, had sent them to a specialist, a craniofacial specialist at Children's Hospital in Little Rock, Arkansas. And if you remember anything about Josie, this is the same hospital that took care of Josie when she was in the NICU when she was born prematurely. And Joy even addressed that in her video.
It's bringing back so many memories. I was just telling Austin, my parents basically lived at this hospital when my youngest sister Josie was born. She was born premature, and my whole family moved to Little Rock for 6 months and lived here while Josie was in the hospital, so my parents would have a long commute.
So when they got to the doctor, I thought it was a little bit weird because Austin went in, not Joy, to talk with the doctor and have Evie go through everything. I don't know if this was because they felt like Austin would be more well-versed to deal with the doctor, to manage the questions. I don't know if this was just something that Austin wanted to do. I don't know if there's a reason like maybe Joy wasn't feeling well. I don't really know why Joy decided to stay back and her husband went into the office with the baby, but it's great that Austin's an involved, doting father in that respect. At the appointment, they basically do an x-ray, and this is the weird part, is they basically like had them video, she was like on a FaceTime with Austin, and then they were listening to the doctor talk, and they did a x-ray of the baby's head, and the doctor effectively said that everything looked okay with...
Well, everything, I can see all of the suture lines around the skull, so everything looks good there, as far as like continued growth and no apparent issues. I'll get an official read by the radiologist later today, so if there's anything else, I will let you know about that. As she continues to grow, and if that does become more prominent over the next year or 2 years, just we'll keep in touch. And if we need to see her, or if I need to get her in with one of the neurosurgeons or our craniofacial surgeon, I'll be happy to do that.
Okay. So basically the doctor said that in the x-ray they could see all the suture lines of the skull. Effectively, I don't know if that meant that like she could see that they had not fused yet or that they were still there. But there's various forms of this disorder where the suture lines will close early. So the fact that they have suture lines still is good. But the suture lines can actually close at any time during, I think, the first couple years of their life. They say, you know what, you can come back if it gets more prominent. So she basically has the bulge in the back of her head. And as a result, that could require, what they said and what they explained was intervention, which might require her seeing a surgeon through neurosurgery or through a craniofacial surgeon. The good news is that right now everything appears to be good for her. It's just definitely something that they have to keep an eye on. So what was it that they were actually looking at her for? It's basically a birth defect called craniosynostosis. Yeah, it's a craniosynostosis, which is a tongue twister. But basically it's a disorder or a defect when the baby's skull joins together too early, and it happens before the brain is fully formed. So it doesn't give the room for the brain to grow, and so it can cause a lot of issue. Basically what happens is the sutures, which are flexible material that are like allow the expansion of the skull, they fuse too soon, and they will fuse together by about 2 years of age, but they expand and allow the head to grow in those first 2 years. According to the CDC, it says when a suture closes and the skull bones join together too soon, the baby's head will stop growing in only that part of the skull. In the other parts of the skull where the sutures have not joined, the baby's head will continue to grow. When that happens, the skull will have an abnormal shape. Although the brain inside the skull grown is its usual size, sometimes though more than one suture closes too early, in these instances, the brain might not have enough room to grow to its usual size, and it can lead to a buildup of pressure. So there's several different kinds of this synostosis. It sounds like because her head is growing sort of long with that bulge in the back, they're looking at a sagittal synostosis, which is the sutures that are right on top of her head. And it says the baby's soft spot near the front of the head to the back of the head, so like right up here. When the sutures close too early, the baby's head will grow long and narrow, and it is the most common form of this disorder. So basically, when they grow to fuse too early, it can cause a whole host of issues, and it can lead to high pressure. It can also lead to the brain not developing fully in size. So it's a good news that she does not have to go through anything right now, but it's definitely something it sounds like they want to have them keep an eye on. Now, here's where I can nerd out with you. I actually have a friend whose daughter has this, and they were able to keep it at bay for years, but she went through the procedure to have it repaired when she was 9 years old. And the surgery to repair these is extremely extensive. She had to have her whole skull expanded a couple millimeters in order to relieve some of the pressure because of her skull not, forming correctly, and she had a very small head. A lot of the kids that end up having this do have smaller than normal size heads. So it's a good thing that they're keeping an eye on this. If it is, Joy was thinking that this would be something that she would have to wear a helmet for. This is definitely not something you would wear a helmet for. This would be something that you'd have to have fixed and repaired surgically. And it's a tough surgery. So the good news for Evie is that she does not have to go through that. And I'm really glad for her in that respect, because I have a son that's gone through neurosurgery, and it's definitely not fun. Now, to repair this is technically not neurosurgery, but they generally will have neurosurgeons be a part of the surgery just because the skull sits on top of the brain. So typically it can be done with like a plastic surgeon, a craniofacial specialist, and then with the assistance alongside of the neurosurgeon. So with my friend's daughter, they had a craniofacial plastic surgeon that did the surgery along with a neurosurgeon that stood by in case there was anything that happened. Some of the kids that develop this can get high pressure, meaning they'll end up with hydrocephalus, and so that can also be a possibility. High pressure is a pain in the booty, and having a shunt is definitely a lifelong, if your child has a shunt or you have hydrocephalus, you have to have a shunt for life, and it's a lot of commitment because there's no cure for it. They can malfunction. Their average, I think my son has one, and the average amount of years they function is 5, and it's not uncommon to have malfunctions. So if you have, or if you know someone that has these disorders, just be very, very grateful that Evie is okay for now. We'll see how things progress for her, but that's the good report, and I'm proud of Joy and Austin for doing the right thing for their daughter and taking her to the doctor and not minimizing this, trying to pray it away or pushing it off to the side. So this shows good growth to me for these two Forsyth parents. Tell me what your thoughts are, or if you have experience with this disorder in the comments below. Bye, guys.